Can I put to the Minister and to Mr Glynn the case in my own constituency, the electoral district of Ballymun and Finglas, and I use it as an example of how difficult it is to apply measures in the Dublin region, which is so large, and yet you will have pockets. So in that electoral district, it is the highest in Dublin at the moment. It is 265 cases per 100,000, which is really alarming locally. And sometimes there isn't an understanding of, is that because of institutional clusters? Is it because of particular outbreaks in the community? And I suppose that is one thing I would ask, is can we provide greater transparency to help fight and to reduce that number? But I suppose my point that I made to the HSE yesterday, and is one that I would put to both of you here, it is one of the areas that struggles to have the access to GPs because we don't have enough GPs in the area. We have some parts of the constituency have very low levels of car ownership because of disadvantage, and yet often people are being sent to the National Show Centre or into Croke Park and have to use public transport. And given that there's such a high rate in this very small electoral district, my point is, could the argument be made for a mobile test centre in that area, and would you consider that?
Yes.
Is that something you will have to work with the HSE on?
So I discussed that with the HSE last night. So we will look at that, you know, on an ongoing. And I mean, in the next day or two, we'll be looking at that to see when it can be up and running.
Well, I really appreciate that response.
Can I just add to that as well, Deputy? Thank you very much. We need to identify any barriers to testing. And certainly if you have parts of the country that are geographically remote or don't have access to cars, we don't want to be asking people to get on buses if they're a suspected case, for example. So not only will we look at your own constituency in your own area, we'll work with the HSE to ensure that a similar approach is taken where there are identified areas for whatever reason people find it more difficult to get to testing, because we need to make it as easy as possible for people to go and get tests when they become symptomatic.